Alina responded to a question on Twitter. The question was, why don't we have trading in AQ Worlds? She responded saying that the game originally was not built to support that feature and it wasn't something they planned on adding. She also said there were concerns about players stealing accounts. This is a feature they do plan on adding to AQ Worlds Infinity at some point in the future, or at least something they would like to add to AQ Worlds Infinity. She went on to say they need to focus on their priorities first, porting over content and features that have already been designed, as well as things that have not been designed. Right now, she can say that the trading is on the wish list for AQ Worlds Infinity. Corey made a mention about having new items in AQ Worlds Infinity, and Elena said new items are planned for the earlier stages. That way everyone will have a reason to play through the ported over content like the Chaos Lord Saga. So when you're playing over the new ported content, there will be new items to obtain. It's not just going to be giving you the same items you already own if you've played through the saga in the existing AQ Worlds. Another player said they're opposed to trading in AQ Worlds. What would you trade? Your rares? How would they be valued? I don't really consider rares that valuable anyways, but she said we aren't planning to add trade to AQ Worlds, so to the existing game. It's only on the table for Infinity, and if we go forward to it, we'll need a fair few restrictions. For right now, it's not something anyone needs to worry about. So if there was ever to come trading into the game, there will be plenty of restrictions to it, limiting what would actually be tradable. And they've talked about AQ3D having trading in the past. If AQ3D ever had trading, it would be an auction house style. If AQ World Infinity ever had trading system, very likely they might follow that suit, which would prevent scammers and other things like that. So very likely that if they ever do trading in AQ World Infinity, most likely it would be through some form of auction house. Another player said trading would be a chore to figure out, and it would be much debate between staff and players of what should and shouldn't be restricted. All it would do is ultimately make people mad, advise you guys to avoid it for the time being. And she said, for the time being is 100% guaranteed. There's a lot to do with porting over content and features that are already in place, as well as things that haven't been designed yet. And this kind of takes it back to what I previously said about having restrictions in place. There would be plenty of restrictions. Beta items, alpha items, those wouldn't be tradable. Anything you purchase with your Artix points or your AC, those would be restricted. Anything from Hero Mart, those would be restricted. Like, there would be a lot of restricted items in there, so who knows? Would have to wait and see. Poller said, I feel trading would be a very large hassle, and I know it would be, saying many players would try to scam others and such, which would lead to chaos and tons of reports. Though an auction house system in AQ World Infinity would be a more friendly approach. And this is exactly what I was just saying earlier, that if they ever did do it, it would very likely be through some form of auction house. And again, this is reflecting back to way back years ago when they talked about having trading in AQ3D. If it was ever to happen in AQ3D, it would be an auction house. A player asked, what about the server rewrite that had been mentioned years ago and it was never delivered? And this actually was turned into the AQ World Mobile. One of the posts from 2019 said, now that we are able to make changes and improvements, we have refocused our plans, and the new server and client will be exclusive for AQ World Mobile, which is of course now AQ World Infinity. So that's what had happened to the server rewrite from many years ago. Elena added, rather than scrapping the work completely, we used it as a base and brought on Warlick for more programming power. The codebase has evolved sufficiently and the project has Warlick, Spider, Yoromi, Zoom partially, and Captain Rhubarb as needed, and a UI coder brought during the pandemic. Elena posted a side note saying no dedicated AQ3D, AQ, Dragon Fable, or ED team members have been moved. Shared team members like Diagon, Spider, and Captain Rhubarb continue to move between projects as needed. AQ World team members also move back and forth as required. Another player gave a suggestion here saying, I would like to be able to trade items between my own characters, but that would only be a bonus and hardly a necessity. And Elena said, a very interesting idea that's come up before. I'll make sure to poke the team about it. This is interesting. However, it could cause potential problems as well, because people could then borrow their friend's account to take items to trade between their accounts with it, which could cause complications. So I don't know. I don't know if that would be a good solution. But I wanted to broach this subject because I thought it was pretty interesting. What do you guys think? Would you like to see trading in AQWinfinity? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.